Welcome to my period talk.
What names have you called your period?
I have a super heavy flow.
How much do you think you know about periods?
I think that's true.
I'd stand corrected.
Hi!
About half the population gets them, but it turns out there is a lot many of us don't actually know about our periods. So we're going to break down 4 myths that might surprise you.
Excuse me? Hi, we're with CBC, and I was wondering if you had a few seconds just to chat about how much people know about periods.
Sure, okay.
Myth 1, period syncing.
True or false, women's periods can sync up when they live in close quarters.
I think that's true.
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 I think that is true. I don't know if if that's just like an old wives' tale, but I feel like that is something my wife, when she's been in close quarters with people, had that experience.
I think that's false.
Turns out it is false.
If menstrual syncing were true, I'd tell you, but it's actually not possible because we don't have pheromones. Now, that's something that really rocks a lot of people's world because the whole perfume industry is sort of, geared around telling you that there's pheromones. So we all believe in the illusory truth effect. That's the idea that repetition breeds accuracy.
That's Jen Gunter, an OBGYN who wrote Blood, a book that busts period myths. And some of it was really surprising.
What if I told you that was false?
Is it actually false?
Yeah, I know, I was mind blown. What if I told you we spoke to a guy who said there's no way that that's possible?
Wrong.
So I can totally understand people reading that information and being like, whoa, like that can't be right. So if you've heard from friend after friend after friend about cycle syncing over and over and over again, of course that's become a belief for you. And it's very hard when something was put in your brain not by science to get it out with science, right?
The reason for that is because when we all lived in small kind of tribal-like communities.
Period syncing is hard to debunk. So many of us thought it was a thing. That begs the question, what else do we get wrong with periods?
Do you get your period every month? If so, do you use these?
This is your reminder that it actually does matter what you decide to put in and on your body.
Whatever's on that tampon that's in your vagina is going to be absorbed in the bloodstream.
Myth 2. We know organic tampons cost more, but are they better?
So first, true or false? Organic period products are safer than non-organic period products.
I would say true.
Why?
They're not bleached, less toxins, perhaps more research around where they're sourcing the materials from.
I would think true.
Organic is better.
For all the years I had a period, I used organic tampons, actually Natural Care. They were the best. No complications.
But is it true? People on the street believe it, and on social media too. This has nearly 200,000 views.
Because I think that it's so important to use more organic menstrual products.
If somebody's using the terms pure, clean, natural, organic, I'd be very concerned. What you want are data and statistics. The fact that, for example, organic tampons are better, that's brought to you by the organic industry. That's brought to you by people who want you to pay more so they can make more money. And it's hard, again, because it ties into purity culture, right? Using those words really draws us in. Yeah, why not use your money for shoes?
And get this, all those marketing terms aren't regulated. All sell, no science. So how do the rest of us feel about that?
What if I told you that it doesn't matter?
Ooh, okay. All right.
What if I told you it's false?
We are from India. We use organic products. First, it's safe.
What if I told you it doesn't matter what you use?
Okay,
It's whatever
I'm
makes you comfortable.
0 for 2.
We still have a few questions.
Okay, I would think fewer chemicals.
Here's another myth.
I was getting periods from hell.
The area is sensitive during that time.
If you are a girl or a woman, you need to hear this.
Myth 3. Some period products could make cramps worse.
Another one is, do you think that period products can make cramps worse?
No, I don't. I guess if you have maybe the wrong size pads or something like that.
True or false? Period products can make cramps worse.
I think it's false. It depends upon our hormones.
What kind of period products?
Let's think tampons, Diva cups, pads.
Oh, I'd say false. They don't make them worse.
That's true. And Jen Gunter says periods shouldn't be debilitatingly painful, regardless of what product you use.
The harm is people thinking that if they don't use menstrual products, that their terrible cramps are going to go away. And so they sit at home, bleeding, as opposed to getting medical care.
So many of us get our periods, and we know what they feel like.
Cramps. I always get a headache.
Irritability.
Bloating, breast tenderness.
Good one.
So women's health has been grossly underfunded. People need to have more time with their physicians. We need to have appropriate funding for healthcare, and at the provincial level, women's health has really had the short shrift. Like we need to do a better job at a public health level, teaching people the basics so they know.
Raw papaya helps stimulate contractions in the uterus.
We have one more myth to bust, and keep in mind, this is only a very short list. Social media is brimming with misinformation about periods, and it's easy to spot once you know how.
The idea that, in a country like Canada with an amazing healthcare system, that people are turning to sort of, uninformed sources is simply not acceptable.
But there is some good information. There are also doctors on TikTok providing science-based information to help balance it out.
Heavy menstrual bleeding is called menorrhagia, and it's important to diagnose this because it can lead to things like low iron and anemia.
Because you can see here the hormones are peaking and all of a sudden they drop down.
Boys, 5 things you need to know about periods. Yes, boys.
That's myth 4. It's all just girls stuff. And maybe not a myth, but certainly that's how it's been for centuries. The idea that only women and girls need to learn about menstruation. But many experts say that is not good enough. Jen Gunter says it can be harmful when half the population doesn't know enough about menstruation.
What is the harm in men not knowing enough about periods?
If you're, a man and you have a daughter, or you have, a trans son who menstruates, or a non-binary child who menstruates, don't you want to learn about the biology? So, if your child is suffering from menstrual cramps, you can say, hey, I read in this book that you can take ibuprofen. Let's go get some. Maybe if men learned more about the reproductive cycle, they'd say, hey, you know what? Now I understand why, my partner, who's suffering from PMS, has a harder time 4 or 5 days before her period starts. You know what? I'm going to make dinner the last week of her menstrual cycle.
It does seem like people want to know more these days.
Do you think it's important for men to know about periods?
Yes, sure. They're part of our lives too.
The more education that's shared, the more we all benefit.